So, Dad, cheers
Hey.
for coming on, brother. I saw a poster on your Instagram, and it brought back a couple of memories because my second ever gig, my first gig was Comedy Store, and then
Yep.
I got brought back to reality, and my second gig was Low Stakes.
Oh,
Gaff.
okay. Nice.
I like to say he discovered me a little bit. He was a bit of my,
He's a he's a great guy. My first ever gig with him actually was at a hostel in Kensington back in like 2018 or something.
he
And
hasn't moved
he
out yet.
but he just said one word throughout the whole show. Or he said a few things, but his key word was unbelievable. He just said like unbelievable over and over again in his Italian accent. And he's got this quite interesting thing with his eyes where he's staring at it and he just
Oh,
goes, he was just amazing. I thought he's
mm,
one of, I still think he's one of the best, kind of best kept secrets of London comedy.
mm.
He's
He's
wonderful.
he's so deadpan. It's unreal. He's like
Yeah.
he's the type of person who like if my mum got told she had cancer, I'd want him to tell me the news. Do you know what? Do you know what I mean? He's got that voice, hasn't he?
He
Like
has, yeah.
he's that guy. To be honest,
He's
like
good. He's good. His night, low stakes comedies is one of, because you know it's like being a stand up. It can be quite a scary environment,
mm,
and he's one of those guys you just want in your corner. He's always got your side. He's always got your back. He's great. I love when I saw he was doing that night. I was like, I had to contact him and do a night there, and we
mm.
did a night there a couple of about a month ago, and it was just amazing.
He truly is. He was out. He was my second ever gig, and I went for like four times in a row. Then I went somewhere else on a Wednesday, bombed my ass. I was like, you know what, I'm coming back to low stakes, like to come see him again. Unfortunately, now I do tens and fifteens in Essex on Wednesdays now, but
Awesome.
he was my stepping stone almost. I'm very new, very raw, but I like whatever happens in comedy, I'll always give him absolute credit. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And if there's comedians listening, like check out Low Stakes Comedy. Like it's a great night. It's not a bringer. It's not a stayer. It's very kind of just a very positive environment. I think they usually puts on about 20 comedians, so it's like a big good
Mm,
night. You know, if you're going on a date, I think it's a great night out because like you're going to see some great comedy, some comedy you might not be into, some freaky comedy, some improv, lots of different sort of styles of entertainment, and
mm.
they do a good burger as well, a good burger and a good steak in
Oh
the
yeah, and there's always was
restaurant.
it fucking Apu sitting at the bar, the
Yeah,
big black guy getting pissed. Like I go to see him sometimes.
yeah,
Like,
he's crazy. He's
but
crazy guy.
the best thing I will say about low stakes, and I've always got to say it because I've spoke about it on every single episode. My hatred for bringer spots. He is not one of them.
Yeah,
He's never been one of them, and he packs out a room. So it shows if you put in the graft,
yeah,
you can get bums on seats.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I understand the bringer thing. Like I get it. You know, there's a promoter who's been given this kind of moment to make a good gig, and there's this the comedian sort of circuit, particularly in cities, is oversaturated, and people just turn up, do their set, and then fuck off, which is awful.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of mindset. So I understand why people do bringers, is to kind of combat that. It's just when the bringer mentality takes over from what's important, which is the comedy. That's the most important
Oh,
thing.
I will die on the hill that I always detest bringers. But if if I was to play devil's advocate, that would be as close to the mark I could get on it, to be honest.
Mm.
And I don't understand why people leave gigs early. Like, look, unless you've got to get a train, you've got to work the next morning. Do you know what I mean? Contingency factors. Stay and watch them because
Yeah.
I've learnt more off the stage watching comedians than I've learned on the stage bombing, which is the most time you learn as a comedian. When you're
Yeah.
sucking dick on stage is when you realise, wait a minute, I need to get better.
Yeah, and it humbles you as well. You hang around, you're watching comedians. I love being inspired. That I
Mm,
love going to a show and seeing comedians that are better than me. And them kind of inspiring me, and knowing that, like, I love being in that situation where you see a comedian, you're like, shit, they're so fucking good. I need to step up. It's
mm.
about learning. Life's about learning generally. So I get it, totally get it.
Well, it's a great mindset to have. Like I said, like there's always a comedian I bring big up, Dan Springford. I've gigged with him the last couple of gigs, and he's always the headliner. And then you realise, wait a minute, this is why he's the headliner. This is why his picture's on the poster.
Yeah.
and I'm a regurgitated thumb now from 2018. Like, so,
I don't know. Like, you know, there's a lot of thing about comedy. It's human, and there is a humanity, amongst these groups that perform. And I get it. Maybe you're having a bad night, you just want to go home, or
hmm,
maybe you got to get back to your family, whatever it is. I understand that, but the nights that you'll enjoy are the ones that where you feel welcome and you want to stay, you want to be
hmm.
part of this kind of camaraderie that's right for you. And there's lots of different pockets of that. You might perform at for one promoter and it might not feel right for you, but you might perform at another place. You're like, actually, this is a good night out. I'm going to spend more time here and hang out with these comedians and watch more comedy and learn.
Yeah. I mean, are there any venues in particular that are, like feel like a home game to you?
Yeah, some of them are still around, some of them are closed down. One that's still around at the moment is a comedy place in Ealing called Healing Comedy,
Okay,
run
yeah.
by this guy called Rudy. It's a really kind of open night. There's like a really good comedy community in Ealing that turn up to it. That's a really good show. Big Nose Comedy in like northwest, I think it's northwest London. No, North London. That's a really
If it's
good
called Big
comedy.
Nose, I'm assuming it would have been North London, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think that's why, because Dave is, well, we won't talk about that, but yeah, he's got a big nose for a reason, for a North London reason. And then there's some nights that aren't around anymore. There was a night when I was first starting. It was right opposite where they were building the new Battersea place. That's this
Oh,
new.
I love Battersea, but fuck me, it's expensive now.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
That is, if you want to see what gentrification does to a place, go to
yeah.
Battersea.
Well, before the gentrification, there was a pub that was facing it, and they used to have a top room. It was overlooking Battersea Power Station, and the night was called Battersea Comedy. It was run by two guys who ended up falling out, and that's another story. But it was like the best night. You'd go there on a Thursday. You'd take your notebook. You'd write. You get your jokes prepped. You go up there. It'd always be packed. People always up for it. It was like, on a sunny day. It'd just be nice because the windows, like the sun would just beat in, and you'd either kill or you die. If you died, you live again to fight another day. But if you killed, it was like the best fucking feeling ever, man. Honestly.
I mean, how do you get over a bad bombing personally?
Uh, it's been a while since I've bombed hard.
Okay, cool. But we have
Um,
been there, yeah.
yeah,
We have
yeah.
looked at the train tracks a different way.
Oh, bro, honestly, I mean, if it wasn't
Good, good. I love that already.
if it wasn't for my wife, I think I'd be a dead man. Like there was nights I did. Oh, I remember there was one night I did in Kingston, which is kind of near me, and literally I did this show, and I honestly it was the worst. Like people were booing at me, people were throwing shit at me. One of the other comedians was like calling me out. I was like, I just wanted the ground to like open up and swallow me whole. And I remember like saying to my wife, like on the way home, I was like, I'm never doing stand up again. She was like, no, just take this with your, take this with your stride and move forward. And I remember doing a gig literally 2 weeks afterwards in the same venue, and I killed it. And I was like, oh, thank God. Sometimes you just have your shit night. That's what you have to understand.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is it? There's like the perfect storm. Like, yeah, sometimes like, look, I'm on the theory that the audience, the judge, jury, executioner. Sometimes the audience on an open mic, they could all be leaning your way, they all might not be leaning your way, and so it's that. Sometimes your jokes don't land. Sometimes you try new material. There could be the perfect storm. Do you like when you look back? Can you like pick a point to be like, yeah, that's why this didn't work?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I was just a shit comedian when I started. You know what I mean? Like I had a bit of raw talent. I'll be honest with you. I had some raw talent. It was a diamond that needed polishing.
Yeah.
But basically the show I did that night, there were some jokes that worked before, and when you start off as a comedian, you assume that the jokes are solid if they work somewhere, and if they don't work somewhere else, then it's not you that's a problem, it's the crowd.
Mm.
But the reality is the crowd is like the most important entity in the room, whether it's thousands of people, whether it's hundreds of people, whether it's like one
A man and
person.
his dog. Yeah.
Yeah, man, his dog, a blind person, and his dead wife, whatever.
Yeah. Pull the
Yeah.
urn. Does that count as a bring up?
It does happen. I've done shows like that, but yeah, you have to connect with your audience, and I think it's good to bomb early during your set, if that makes sense, because then you can kind of figure out how to kind of rebuild. The
Mm.
worst is like when you're having like a great, I don't know, first sort of 6 or 7 minutes, and then the last 3 minutes don't hit, and to the point where they're like, actually, I don't like this guy. I'm going to boo him off. That's a worse feeling than bombing
Mm.
straight away.
So if you like say like you're doing your five, you're doing your 10, whatever. 2 minutes in, you do a joke, it sucks, like they don't like it. What do you do to address that?
Oh, I think the hardest thing to do as a stand-up, particularly when you're on stage, is to try to push through it too early. Sometimes it's good to kind of just kind of take a moment, even if it's like a couple of seconds, and those seconds can feel like hours,
Yeah, like a
but
lifetime.
yeah, just take those couple of seconds and just think about, take a deep breath and go, right, what, how do I kind of pull through this? For me, when I feel like I'm bombing, I try to kind of connect with the audience and like maybe ask some questions. And usually, when you ask questions, if you're bombing, they'll throw something quite negative at you. But then you've got to show your humility. If you can take that negativity, laugh with them or grow with them, and then throw in the joke.
Yeah,
It's one of the reasons why I love improv so much. It's like being an improviser really teaches you how to kind of roll with the punches as opposed to sticking to your script, and
mm.
trying to fulfill what you had planned. Because sometimes generally the plan doesn't work. So you got to kind
Yeah.
of be
I mean, would you
prepared.
say like because I can't remember who said this to me, but the best compares come from improv, and the best crowd work comes from improv. Doing improv being, you know, it's you and a couple of other people on the stage to stand up. You're there by yourself, not be no mates. Like, what are the other like variables? What are the other differences that like, and
Um,
like, how did it train you to do it, and how did it
yeah,
fuck you
yes.
up at the same time?
Oh no, totally. I mean, for me, when I first started doing stand up, I hadn't really found my place. So I would always watch other comics, and the ones that I saw that were successful, the ones that kind of had their shit together. And what I mean by that is they've written their jokes, they rehearsed their jokes, they tested their jokes, and then they performed them and understood how to kind of work with the material and the crowd. And for me, that's what I thought was right for me. But then actually, what I understood, what I learned about myself through doing stand up was actually I'm more of an improviser, more of a conversational comedian, and every comic is different. Every comic has a different style, and you have to find that style. And finding that style takes a long time. It took me about 200 gigs, really, to be
Oh,
honest,
okay.
to truly figure out who I feel I am as a comedian.
Mm.
That's not to say that those first 200 shows were crap, but they weren't the ones that defined who I am as a comedian. It takes a while. And once I found improv, which I'd always had, it was always something I was using. That's where I felt, well, I need to lean into this.
Yeah.
And every comic has to find that. The best comics you see are the ones that have a specific style that you admire, but it's what they built
It
themselves.
makes them them. It's their
Yeah,
niche. It's like what
yeah,
they become known for, so to speak.
absolutely.
So, okay, from experience, then, someone doing the open mic scene, and they're only banging out fives at the moment. How do they work on their crowd work? Because I've started getting better at crowd work because I've been doing 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, right, I need some fucking, I need some filler in this. Like, I need to. I know I need to talk to these people for a couple minutes. So I was like, that's how I'm naturally learn. How do you learn it doing just 5 minutes on an open mic?
Really good question. I think the key thing is really listening, like listening to your audience. Obviously, you've got your material that they're the bullets in your gun, right? They're the
Yeah,
things you're going to be, using. But every reaction generally is different. There was one joke I used to always use at the beginning of my set when I was first starting out, and it would kill majority of the time. Sometimes it wouldn't, but that was the one that I would use to listen to the audience. Go, right, okay, how did they react to that? Oh, they reacted that way. Okay, brilliant. I need to hone in on that. And it's only through experience, as a person. I also try to use. I do a lot of work with. In my day to day, I meet a lot of new people every day, and I love just trying that material out on them. And what I mean by that is not like, okay, by the way, guys, I'm going to do a 5 minute stand up set. Here we go.
yeah.
It's more kind of like, right, let's see how they react to this joke. And a lot of my jokes are quite dirty. They're quite filthy.
Good.
Some of it's political.
Okay.
And I want to just see how people react to it. And if there's a kind of, if they don't react to it, then I know the joke's not good. But if they react to it, even if they don't like it, then I'm like, okay, there's something there. let's work with that. And then you take that experience and polish that joke up a bit, and then try it out on the crowd, and again listen to the audience. Listening, especially when they laugh. Sometimes they'll laugh. You know what it's like. You've got this joke rehearsed. You think it's going to be funny at a certain point, but they laugh at a different point.
They love the wrong bit. Yeah,
Yeah, and it can kind of throw you a bit like, oh, when you're starting off. But
yeah,
once you understand that there's, the audience reacts in different ways, that's when it, for me anyway, that's when it gets exciting because it's unpredictable.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I think the biggest dopamine hit is when when they're laughing at like the premise. Maybe they've laughed at like like the premature punchline, and you're about to hit the final tag, then a couple seconds before where they don't know what's gonna hit them, and then
Yeah.
they absolutely love it. What am I going to say then? So, said you're a dark comedian, you do sort of political stuff. Did you do that from the cuff, or have you always done that, or did you do that when you finally found your voice? Because the reason I ask is that I feel like London can be quite safe when it
Yeah,
comes to comedy, and people don't want to offend other people in comedy.
it's a good question. I mean, I've always been a very outspoken person, and when I first started off, my jokes were very political and very rude. And that got me into a lot of trouble. There were times when people would like tell me to get off the stage. I've had people get up on stage and try and like go to hit me, but like kind of physically take me off the stage. Um, I used to do I don't do it anymore, and this is probably my worst hour. But I used to have like a big black dildo that I used to have in my pants, and
Love it.
I used to kind of unzip my trousers and pull it out, and like go and like do basically I wrote like 10 jokes, 10 things you can do with the dildo, which is like some people find it funny, some people don't, but there were some people that hated it, like to the point where they would like the following morning I'd get like messages on my like Insta like, I'm gonna kill you, you're worthless, and it's like, oh my god, what's going on
Can I,
here?
I'll ask you a question on that. Okay, so I was speaking to Raj Javad last night. Fucking brilliant comedian.
He's
Fucking
incredible.
but he's been getting hate lately. He's an Indian comic, and all his hate was from Indians. All my hate has been from white guys. But I said, you're doing it right when you're getting multicultural hate. What was you getting?
It was mainly very angry parents. That's what it mainly was.
But was it of all ethnicities?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it
so you
wasn't.
did it properly then. Okay,
Uh,
that's proper hate then. Good, well
well,
done.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like the reality is, everyone is hated in some
Yeah,
form or another,
so you know you're doing it right.
yeah, yeah. The last thing I want to do is upset people. I'm sure it's the same with you.
Of
Last thing you
course.
want to do is upset people. But the reality is, people in general are weirdos. There's a lot of weirdos, and you just have to kind of weigh up the good things in your life, particularly in stand up, against the bad things in life. And sometimes one thing said on a DM can really affect you, but you got to learn,
Yeah,
for it not to affect you. That's
learn to brush
important.
off. I mean,
Mm.
especially talking about weirdos. Anyone listening to this who's not a comedian, you say you see weirdos day to day. Look at now. Imagine being in an industry with other comedians. We don't start this from a loving, happy place because we're mentally stable. Every comedian is fucked up in their own right, one way or
Absolutely.
another.
Absolutely. But it's also a symptom of humanity. I think everyone is fucked up in one way
Yeah.
or another. And we've chosen a route to either tame it or to nurture it even,
Mm.
or to play with it. For me, like being on stage I find it very therapeutic. Even
Cheap
if
man's
it's
therapy. I always say
yeah,
that.
yeah. Even if there's one person in the crowd, if there's loads of people in the crowd, I find it therapeutic to be on stage, to command a room in a way that they may not may not want to enjoy what they're about to hear, but when they do laugh, it's okay. I've diffused that bomb. Now let's move on with something else, and that's exciting, and that's why it's addictive, I think.
I was so okay. Let me ask you this then: why are most comedians introverts then?
There's a lot of introverted comedians. I mean, there's some that aren't, but there are a lot. I don't know. I mean, there's a one thing I would say. I'm not a doctor or anything. I'm not. I don't have a PhD in psychology, but one thing I have noticed is there's a lot of neurodivergence
Mm.
in the stand-up scene that I've witnessed, not just in the UK, but some of the shows I've done in the States,
Mm.
around Europe, like in Australasia. There is a high majority of neurodivergence. I'm someone that is a tiny bit on the spectrum. I have neurodivergence in my life. Um, it's something that's very common, but that I think is important because it really showcases not just the fact that there is a dysfunction in creativity from a mental perspective. And when I say dysfunction, I mean that with respect, but also there's a lot of beauty and diversity in creativity. The people who are neurodivergent need an outlet,
Yes,
and the
million
people that
percent.
and also the crowds as well, who I'm sure there's a lot of undiagnosed neurodivergence in the crowds, need that therapy from the person on the stage as well. So it's a very important thing to acknowledge. Yeah, I have witnessed a lot of introvertedness in the comedy scene. I'm actually very extroverted and naturally, but I do have my introverted moments. Um, and you do meet a lot of people in the comedy scene that you've never performed with before, who naturally at the beginning of a conversation with you, because they've never met you, can be quite like, "Hey, I'm Sanj, how you doing?" And they could be a bit like, "Oh, and it may be because they've had to deal with a lot of other neurodivergent comics who are introverted. But it's a good thing you highlighted there. It is something that you see a lot, and it's frustrating because you'll see someone on stage, you're like, "Wow, they're amazing. I bet I can have a pint with them." And then you
Yeah,
go to the bar, and it's like, "Is there something wrong with me? Have I said
yeah,
something wrong?"
and they absolutely change. I mean, myself example, I'm a bit of an introvert until I have a drink. Like even if it takes me a while to get drunk, but even the second the alcohol touches my lips, I'm away at the races. But in real life, I'm a bit of a hermit. Like, that's why I started a podcast in my office. Sit talking to people from long distance.
Yeah,
Absolutely love it. So we'll go literally all the way back to the roots, Sanj. Um, how did you start comedy? When and why?
yeah. I my first ever stand up gig. One of my mates was running a stage at a festival called Stand and Calling, which is like a music festival, and
Yeah.
he had a comedy stage, and he was a music uh, producer, and he was like, "Do I know any on Facebook?" He was like, "Do I know any comedians?" And I'd always wanted to do stand up, so I messaged him. And then I remember telling my wife, like, "Oh, babe, I'm going to do some stand up comedy." And she looked at me, she was like, "Are you fucking crazy?" And I was like, "Maybe." And she was like, "When's the gig?" I was like, "Oh, 2 weeks time." She was like, "Fuck." So I had to do my homework. So that was when I got into it. Before that, though, I'd always, and I'm sure you get this as well. You seem like a very fun person. Like I reckon if you and I were in a room together, we'd probably have
Oh yeah,
we'd be
shit.
laughing our asses off.
Anyone knows when you meet another comedian who you gel with instantly, it's like you've been best mates for
Yeah,
20, 30 years. You'll
yeah,
just start ripping each other, you're pissing each other, and it just the time flows, man. Like that's the
yeah.
beautiful thing as well.
Yeah, so I've always believed that comedy can diffuse any negativity. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. I do a lot of like public speaking training for like corporates, and a lot of them are quite uptight people.
Mm.
And there's also a lot of pressure on them. They're worried about what the other person's thinking. I'm like, look, mate, if you can make someone laugh, then you've got somewhere to start with them.
Mm.
You can build something with them. And I always had that in me. And when I was at university, I won like Joker of the Year, even though I hadn't done any stand up.
Yeah.
Like everyone at uni was like, "You're the funniest guy ever." So it was always something I wanted to do. And then I did this gig, Stan and Calling, fell in love with it. There was two other comedians before me who were just amazing. The headliner was like incredible. There was a blind comic. I remember this. I've forgotten the guy's name, but he was like blind, and
What did he
you
look
know,
like?
dark hair, leather jacket. Um, yeah,
In the
he's
UK?
in the UK. Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to list off all the it wasn't David Eagle. Was he quite like Frau?
Yes, he was.
David
Yeah,
Eagle, maybe? Would he be in his about
maybe,
late early 40s now?
probably. Yeah, yeah,
Maybe,
yeah,
okay,
probably.
cool. Yeah.
If David, if you're listening, I'm sorry I forgot you, but if you're around, let's have a drink. But yeah, it was just a really good night. And I remember going home, going like, "Oh yeah, I really enjoyed this. I want to do more of this." And then remember doing my second gig, and it was one of those bringers in
Snap
London.
back to reality almost. Like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
this is where I start. Like
yeah,
tutorial mode's over.
yeah.
Like,
And I remember turning up, and everyone in the crowd. There's only like maybe seven of us. Everyone was a comic. There was no like punters, even though it was a bringer. Like no one brought anyone. Um, I remember doing my material, and like the bar person was like, I remember that I could see them, and they were just like on their phone and
mm,
like didn't give a shit. No one gave a shit. Um, and I remember at that moment thinking like, okay, this is the reality. And then I started hopping around the London circuit, and you'd kind of meet a lot of people who were in a similar situation to you. Some of the comics were like, not that great, but there were some that were just amazing. So you'd start to kind of see them a lot, and then I started doing that a lot. Loved it for a long time. Then I went out to New York, did a couple of shows there, then LA, then went back to the UK, did Edinburgh a few times. Was really liking it, but I hadn't really found my voice. And then I started doing improv, and that's where I started doing the improvised beatbox stuff. Get suggestions from the
mm.
audience, create a song with them, try to create like a moment that they'd take away with them.
Yeah, you
Um,
become your own act. Like, yeah,
yeah,
you formed your own persona on stage entirely. What was like? Were there any sort of notable differences between gigging in London to New York to LA?
yes. So London's a great scene. Like it's cool. It's cool. You got to be tough. You
Mm.
have to be tough. You need broad shoulders, particularly anyone that is a kind person. You can get ripped up very hard in London. So you've got to be careful.
Yeah, there's a lot of bitter people out there.
Yeah.
About
So
92%. I know. Oh, sorry to interrupt.
that's
I've
right.
always said this. Look, find your people
Yeah.
straight away. Find your community. Find your people who will back you. Who'll be like, whose advice you want. Do you know what I mean? Don't listen to a lot of bitter fucks out there. Just be true to yourself, and listen to your people and listen to their feedback. But fuck the haters.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with listening. It's just sometimes when the person who's giving the advice, you can kind of see through it, and you're like, this person isn't right, as you say, isn't my people. But yeah, London's quite tough. New York for me was a million times tougher. It's a
Yeah,
lot
okay.
harder. Yeah. And I think it was because I didn't know anyone in the scene there. So that I found that really quite brutal.
Did they jump on the English accent straight away?
Two things they jumped on: the accent, because they were like, "Oh my god, you don't look British," that kind of thing, which is
Yeah.
fun. But then the second thing, I was doing my dildo joke out there. They
Oh, sorry, how the fuck did you get that through
Oh
customs?
mate, that's actually part of my sketch. Actually, I talk about how trying to get a big black. Anyway, um, yeah, the Americans, anything filthy in the States, they love it. They're outrageous. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Um, LA, I felt like I found my people. Like because every show I did out there was brilliant. Everyone kind of connected with my humor. It was
yeah,
fun. It's very for me. It's very you can talk to someone like a comedian. A lot of them are very well connected to things that are happening out there, and
yeah.
very quickly you can do something. I was only out there for like a couple of days, and I met this guy, and he was already like, I'm working on this show. Would you be interested in being part of it? It's like, well, bro, I haven't got a green card. He's like, oh, okay, man. Just next time you're back in LA, if you got a green card, let me. There's a lot of that type of talk out
Oh,
there, which
that
is
energy would dull me so quick. Is that I played American football 4 years, professional
wow.
level
Okay.
in the UK, and I hated when everyone started acting American, like putting like the face paint bits there and all that, or like the cheering before. It's like, oh, just play the fucking game, mate.
Yeah, they're a different breed out there
Yeah,
for
too much
sure.
optimism. I think it's because like when they're born, they're like told, "Hey, you could be president."
Yeah,
When in
yeah.
this country, we're like being like, "Look, I mean, you might be able to get a desk cubicle one day. Like, you'll never have a window at your job. Like, set reality now almost."
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they speak English, but they're completely different. I think Oz is a cool place, like to do
Yeah.
stand up out there. I think if you're a British comedian, it's great out there. Their style of comedy is very unique. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, but they've got a charm about them that's brilliant. But doing a lot of shows out in Spain at the moment. Like, there's a really good scene in Barcelona.
Okay,
Doing
I've had a thingy on. Oh, what's his bloody name? Who runs the biggest club in Barcelona?
Oh wow, okay. Is it Tab? TAB?
No, let me
Typical
do
adult
fucking
behavior.
scroll back. But while I find it, I'll say one thing I noticed. I watch. Do you know what I mean? I do this for a living. I watch comedy. James Regal.
I don't know him.
Uh, he runs like the biggest one in Barcelona now, expanding. But
Oh,
anyways,
okay.
one thing I sort of noticed, and I don't. I'm not. No, I am slightly hating on this a little bit. One thing I love about the UK is no one really mentions drugs much on the stage. When in America, it's always, oh, I've just smoked a joint out back. I've just done some coke. And I've heard that a lot. Like Australian comics will be about talking about drugs a lot. Where maybe we just don't have the rock and roll lifestyle they do.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because there is a bit of a like a prudishness about Brits in general. Like we're a bit funny about taboos. Like
Yeah,
if someone like talks about the penis, they're like, oh, that way, which is it's quite
yeah,
that Victor Meldrew kind of thing. Or if I don't know when people do talk about drugs, it's like, oh God, no, that's wrong, that's illegal. That
yeah.
kind of vibe. But there are some comics that play with it. A really good Aussie comic. You obviously know him, Jim Jeffries, who lives in
Oh,
the States,
standard, yeah, standard,
but
yeah,
he used to live in the UK for a long time. And he's been quite open about his when he was an alcoholic, and
yeah.
he used to be a cocaine addict, and he kind of infuses that in his stand up. But you're right. There's something about the British mentality on the mainstream level anyway, where it's like you can kind of scratch this, but you can't go too far,
Mm.
otherwise, then it's over, which is a shame. It's a
Yeah, when
shame.
we talk about it, we treat it as an AA meeting almost on
Yeah,
stage, where it's more public, sort of that. So you'd say go to America, go to Australia, made you a better comedian. Then you found your improv, which enhanced it through the roof, and then Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Yeah. So first time I did Edinburgh, I just went out on my J's, like, I'm a stand up, I'm gonna go for it. And the great thing about Edinburgh is it really puts you in your place because everyone there is great.
Yeah,
If you're not even touching that level, it can be really demoralizing because the show. I don't know if you've been to Edinburgh, but there's like shows everywhere. You turn a corner.
non-stop, 24 hour,
Yeah,
every yeah, every hole's got a show.
yeah, and that's what's great about it from a creative perspective because you're exposed to so much different talent. There's an assumption that all comedy is the same, and it's not. There's like billions of different versions of a funny moment. And that's what Edinburgh teaches you is if you want to be up here, you've got to be good.
Yeah,
And so
I've always said about Edinburgh, and once again, everything I say is from zero knowledge. It's purely always my own opinion. If you're no one trying to become someone, I don't think Fringe is good. If you're semi someone and you want to become someone, Fringe helps because you need to
yeah,
have that semi, even if it's an online reputation, a little bit. Like,
yeah, I agree because it's tiring.
yeah, oh,
Last time I was at Edinburgh, I was there with Batsu, which is like this Japanese improv crew that produced in from the States, but they do the show. I was there with them, and I was doing like two shows a day. So I was doing their show, and then I was doing like a show with one of my friends, and you're just knackered.
mm,
You're not getting much sleep. You think you can party, but you can't.
yeah.
You
Did, did,
start
did, did the age reality kick in a little bit?
totally.
Like uni days are over now, Sanj.
Mate, I got like diarrhea because like I just wasn't eating well, and like honestly I just
Yeah.
the person I was sharing a dorm with like three people, and we were sharing like a toilet, and they were always pissed off at me because they were like, "Where's the toilet paper?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, mate, I've got diarrhea." I was just like shitting everywhere,
Mm.
and I would always be in there for anyway. That's another story, but it's really mentally exhausting and physically exhausting. So it's like it's like going to the gym or like training for like a
Mm.
boxing match or something. You really need to be on it, not just like physically, but also like from a joke perspective. You really need to be thinking about the audience and being on form for them. But when it works, it's amazing. Like I
Mm.
mean, we'd like with Batsu, we're doing like sellout show every night, midnight. We'd be like, no one's gonna come at midnight, and the
Mm.
place would be packed. Everyone's fucking wasted. They're all drinking. They all want blood. They're one of those types of rooms.
Yes.
It was great. Sweat dripping off the walls.
Yeah. I mean, and
Um,
for an improv thing, that's even better, isn't it? Because you want that.
Oh, totally, totally. It's a it's a give and take relationship with the audience. It's wonderful. And some nights, I remember some nights I did bomb, and I remember like there was this girl who came up to me after one of the shows, and she was like, you weren't that funny, and I was just like, we talked about bombing. It's like that's why I had to be like, well, sometimes you have a bad night, and she was kind of shocked by that. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, 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 it's
Yeah.
fine, you know.
I mean, yeah, sometimes they just want to talk for the sake of talking. Like, sometimes they want to confident. Because, you just want to be like, you know what, you can suck a dick. Fuck off. But you can't. Because you can't. You said that one bad thing, that one bad time that gets, video clips. All of a sudden, you're forever known as the prick.
Yeah, yeah. I think I am kind of known as the prick
Good.
with my family, but with you, we're mates. It's all good.
Well, that's the thing. You can never judge anyone on that. I mean, like, speaking of social media and shit, with comedy nowadays, how important is it? If you want to make it as a comedian, how important is it to be funny, or how important is it to have a social media presence?
Totally, a really, really important question. My honest opinion is it's so important. I don't really have a crazy social media presence, and that's for a couple of reasons. One of them is personal. I'm kind of a bit careful about what I want to share online,
Yeah,
but it's if you want to make it as a stand up or as a comedy writer or anything like that, I think social is important. One of my friends, you should check him out. He's a really cool guy. He's called Aziz. He's a Turkish comedian, Turkish Cypriot comedian.
so
Uh,
send me his details after, and I'll yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
get him on the show.
yeah.
And
Well, I'm saying
he,
I did a Muslim joke on Saturday, and people trying to hate me. So I had Deepak Patel on a couple of nights ago. I was like, thanks for filling the quota for me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why you got me on, isn't it? That's
But
why I'm here.
obviously,
Yeah,
I'm putting your episode out tomorrow, mate. You're just on the loop on live.
but yeah, he's different to me. I come from a live background, trying to transcribe that kind of magic, that live moment onto camera for me, I find quite tricky. But him, he's the opposite. He started off on TikTok and he built his following on
Okay.
TikTok, and now if he does a show, it's sold out. Whilst with me, it's like I'm telling all my mates, I'm doing a gig next week.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I'm like, I need to sort my social out because it'll help me, and yeah, you need social media, you need it. We
Yeah.
all do, even less people are watching television now. I work with a lot of TV producers, and I ask them every year, is the industry changing? And he's like, it is because people aren't watching TV, and he's got like a
Yeah.
couple of kids, and he's talking about his kids. They're on their phones, they're just looking at TikTok or Insta or whatever it is. So yeah, you need social, but that's not to say that social's easy. It's not
No,
easy.
I tell you what, that's what I hate about it. I hate social media, but it's the devil. You've got to do it. The thing that I hate about social media is that, like, look, I've got a degree in accounting and finance. I've run two businesses that I've
Wow.
sold. I've done all right for myself. I'm not fluffing my ego. I'd like to consider myself an intellect. I just don't get it, and I'm annoyed I don't get it. But some 11-year-old girl called Sally can get 25 million views just going, and I don't understand it, and it drives me crazy. What is
Yeah.
what is the formula? What is the algorithm?
Yeah. I mean, what I do know is everyone has what's the great thing about social media, particularly TikTok, is everyone can find their audience. There's an audience out there for you. There's an
Yeah,
audience out there for me. Now you just need to kind of nurture that. The nurturing needs two things. One is I'm fucking lazy. I'm so fucking. I mean, I'm hardworking in certain things, but specific to social media, I'm lazy in it. And then the second thing is you need consistency. You need
yeah,
to be
I know
like,
that's the big one.
yeah,
Consistency is like all my shorts, YouTube shorts. I do them every Sunday for the whole week.
okay,
Just schedule
that's
them because luckily doing the podcast when I make the shorts, I'm very lazy about it. There's a bit of software I use. I put a video in and it creates 30 shorts. So I'll
amazing.
just find the best ones, and I'm posting about four a day.
Yeah,
Each of them, every comedian comes on. I have doing a lot of catch up. A comedian comes on 2 days later, their shorts go up,
yeah.
and then
Well,
it's done like a business almost.
yeah, and that's why your podcast is doing well. Obviously, you're having good conversations and you're curating good comedians on the show, but that consistency is opening doors for you.
Yeah,
It's how we know
which
each
is the
other.
key.
Yeah,
And also, and also it's done well in comedy. I would say hashtag nepotism. If I want to do a gig, I just bring the promoter on,
Yeah.
fluff them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, socials it's a really important aspect of marketing yourself as a brand, but it's not easy, and it can be tiring. There's a lot of particularly comedians in the social space who burn out, and there's no safety net for people like you and I. So you've got to be careful, with your like mental health and
Yeah,
what you want as well. There's some people who are like almost hell bent. They look at fame as the goal, and you can't fetishize that too much. Otherwise, it takes away from you as a comedian. You've got to be funny.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Funny comes first, but I'll just do one more bit on that topic. I've been asking this question last couple of episodes. Say if you was doing a night, you was running a night, you needed a headliner. There's two people, A or B. A sends you a 20-minute video, and they are a killer. They are a killer. Or B, you don't see a video, but they've got 5 million followers. Which one would you book?
I'll do the 20-minute video,
Oh my,
hands down.
okay.
Yeah,
No, but are you
hands down.
speaking from your heart or head there?
That's from my heart, because at the end of the day, I want to put on a night that I believe is right for my promotion company.
Okay, I love
Um,
that.
I mean, obviously, if they've got, I'm not sure if you promote nights, but I've promoted nights, and it's one of the worst feelings in the world where you've taken a chance on a comedian
Mm.
because you think they're great, but they're not doing any work to promote the show. Obviously, you're the promoter as well as the producer, but you also want the comedians to help with that as well.
Yeah. Well,
And
I'm,
if
I'm, I'm starting my own nights next year, 2027. It's gonna be called Sit Down for Stand Up, but the terms are gonna be you have to have been on the pod to perform.
Oh, amazing,
So
that's good.
like, it's obviously you come on, and it's also like look, Sanj, Surati, episode 122, episode 123. So people can watch you, be like, oh, he was good. I can now go listen to his actual life for an hour.
Yeah,
And I feel there's a bit
exactly.
of there could be a nice correlation there. And also, this is my way of vetting people.
Absolutely. I mean,
Like they're a sound person, calm.
absolutely. I mean, the true, I believe the true magic of being a good promoter is like looking for talent and believing in that talent. It's just like sports promotion. You'll
Yeah,
you'll pick someone. They might not win the gold medal, but you have to believe in them to get to that level.
yeah,
Or it's like a boxer. Sometimes they'll win fights, sometimes they'll lose fights. It's always 50-50.
mm,
And that's the true magic of a real promoter. If you're just looking at numbers, it might work for you because that's a economical decision, isn't it? But if it doesn't, or if you're not feeling fulfilled, then what? That's the other question.
yeah. Also, is I don't say these promoters who do the same night every single week. I don't know how they don't lose heart a bit, and I applaud them and I give them the utmost respect for it.
I meet a lot of promoters in London, and I don't want this to sound nasty, but I meet a lot of promoters in London who've been doing it for a long time. They do the same night every week, week in, week out. They originally came from being a comedian, and they were like, you know what, I'll do my own night and promote stuff.
Yeah, I can
And
promote
you
myself. I'll compare. I can give myself a 10 if I want.
Yeah, but I can see it in their eyes.
Mm,
They're like tired, they're weathered. No one. I mean, there's some that do good at it, but there's generally a lot. Like none of the comedians like them. None of them. No one wants to be there. It's just a very tired night,
yeah.
and it's because the promoter themselves are tired.
Mm.
See, I don't know. Being a promoter is the hardest job in the
Oh,
world. It's like,
I can imagine, and I think it's. I think there is, was it? There's a bad one in every bunch, and a lot of them are doing fantastic jobs. I think it'd be tiring. So I do have a lot of respect for promoters and stuff. I don't think. I think a lot of them did start it out though as a fast track mechanism into comedy
yeah.
after they've gigged for a while, hasn't gone the way they wanted, so they've done that. And when they found that, they start a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I you're right. Like I will never badmouth a promoter because I understand it's hard work, and we need nights. Like people need nights to perform at, and people need to be entertained. Comedy lubricates creativity, lubricates society. The
All right.
world's a
So,
world.
Sanj, if I said to you, okay, like, look, what is the secret to getting exposed and getting more time in comedy? I mean, it's like the algorithm, social media. There is no right answer.
Yeah, I think you just got to keep writing. Just keep writing. Even when you feel like you've got the most perfect set, write another set. Just keep writing, keep writing. Having conversations with people that believe in you. I ended up doing a lot more TV and film because I would do shows and people go, actually, there's something about you I like, and I think it'll work on this thing that we're working on. So you need to expose yourself. And you need to be strategic. You need to find, as you say, find your people, find the nights that you feel are right for you.
Yeah.
Um, you know, if there's a night that isn't right, have a think about why it's not right,
Mm,
because maybe there are going to be other nights like that, and you need to be prepared for that.
yeah. I was like,
Um,
have a safe place to bomb. That's what I use vowels for. That's what I use low stakes for.
yeah,
I go there to bomb. Just
I bet you don't bomb though. I bet you do
no, I
well.
have. I've done it about 7 times now, and I think 4 went well.
Okay,
3 of them
okay.
didn't because I was like, you know what, I'm going over to Essex. I'm going to try a bit of more riskier stuff, and the crowd wasn't up for it. They weren't up for it. But I was like, you know what, sod it. It was always like, I know this is funny, but I'm just using this as the guinea pig. I went over to Essex. I was on a Saturday, a pro bill, killed it.
Nice.
Uh,
I mean,
so
I've, every comedian, every comic, the best comics in the world have bombed, and they've probably bombed worse than the majority of people.
mm,
You just got to kind of pull through it, and live for the moments where you win. Live for the glory then,
yeah.
and when you lose, just move forward.
A million percent. But and I was like, what you learn in 5 minutes of bombing, you'll learn throughout doing 3 years. Or like, do you know what I mean? I'd say 5 minutes of bombing is equivalent to 10 hours of doing well.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Totally agree.
You
It's good to bomb. I don't know. Like first time I bombed, it was like I felt like I wasn't worthy of living.
mm,
But now when I bomb, I'm like, okay, it's cool. How do I learn from this? They're not mistakes. They're lessons.
yeah, I was. It took me my fourth gig to get a laugh.
Wow, really
Fourth gig. First one, I
interesting.
said comedy store gong show, nothing. Second one was Val's low stakes first night, nothing. Second one was in Shoreditch, and me being, I mean, I was a lot heavier back then, being a white male doing jokes about gay, not anti-gay jokes, but like like the joke I did was basically like if like how does it go? Oh, I ain't done this joke in a while. So if you're fat, if you're ugly, you're fucked. If you're fat, you just need a mate who's fatter than you. My mate Tim, this is all true story. He is a fireman, and he can no longer get up the ladder. So they redesignated him as a bungalow specialist. Love that joke. He
I
never got
think it's
received.
awesome.
Never got received well. True story
What?
as well. The
Wow.
the bit I tagged it with, I was like, he's so fat and ugly. He's just been granted a visa for this new country. I can't remember what it's called, but I know they wave a rainbow flag. Talking about the LGBT. No, lost them. And you couldn't. There was about 8 people in the audience. The room was pitch black. You couldn't see the first person in the front row.
Wow.
So it
So
was
you're
literally
truly
just
lost.
staying into the abyss.
Wow, man. Why do we do it? Why do we do
It's
that?
delusion, brother, man. It's delusion. Is it delusion or courage?
I think there's also a little bit of masochism. Like, I think we deep down want that adrenaline to flow. I think we're addicted to it. I'm addicted to it. I like, even to this day, like
Masculism. What do you mean? Let me.
masochism. So is the opposite of sadism. So you like pain. You like to
Yeah, no,
kind
I
of.
thought so. It's either do stand up or buy a gimp mask. They're your two choices in life.
Yeah.
Get pegged or do stand up.
Yeah, I've done both. I think stand-ups. Although the erections, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about pegging. I don't want to get banned just yet.
Yeah, because you go up being like, especially at the beginning. Like I said, same. Like I always love the boxing reference. It's going okay. Let's go get punched in the face by people who are good at punching people in the face.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
like okay, I'm gonna be a boxer. I'm gonna go square up to my nan. Like, no, I'm going to go fight other people who know how to fight back.
Yeah,
Being a comedian, I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to make people laugh who, most case, some do, some don't, who know about comedy.
yeah. But then that's, like that is why we do it. I think deep down there is, for me anyway, I like that adrenaline flowing. I love it. Just that split second before you go up on stage, even if I know it's a warm crowd, I am scared. And
Mm.
I like that. I like that. That like drives me. That excites me.
See, I get
Uh,
worried the other one. Because I always be like, if it's I prefer playing in front of a dead crowd. So then I've got an excuse almost.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
well, the crowd's been like this all fucking night. But I hate it when it's a good crowd that you've then killed. Like, oops.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much psychology in there. It's wonderful. I think you talked about like bombing and like how do you overcome that. I'm going to get a tiny bit scientific in here. You've got your prefrontal cortex, and then you've got your amygdala. When your prefrontal cortex is like dampened or closed off, your amygdala makes you either, it's the fight or flight. You either
Yeah.
run or whatever. And naturally, when you're starting to bomb, you do close up and start to kind of go, "Oh fuck this, I'm out of here." But if you
Yeah.
can if you can push that prefrontal cortex back into into your mind, it's and you do hear that laugh, then you're like, okay, I'm winning here. There's some satisfaction there. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. I think some of the hardship though is like when you're playing in when you start out and you're on the open mic circuit, sometimes it's hard to hear the laughs.
Yeah.
Or then like you're so excited you rush ahead. Where when it's a bigger audience, you can sort of be like, okay, yeah, like that echoed through.
What
Like,
there's some jokes I love, and not just when I do it, but like when I'm watching comedians where they'll do that joke and the laughter is like a slow kind of build, it's the joke's dropped, people are kind of thinking about it a bit, and then suddenly people go like,
it's
and
like a
then they go
volcano
like, yeah,
eruption. You're
yeah.
feeling it, and going. I mean, one of last, so you say you're a bit of a dark comedian. You do a bit of political stuff. Can you joke about anything?
I think you can.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
I
That's
mean, there's no such thing as a right or wrong opinion, but that is the right opinion. Well done.
well, being offended is a personal thing, and you and I can't control that.
No.
We can't control how someone feels about what you say, or how you say it, or when you say it, or what their breakfast was before they turned up. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
so
One
many.
man's terrorist, another man's freedom fighter.
Exactly. For me, freedom of speech is one of the most important things for us
Million
as
percent.
human beings. Um, and sometimes we have to be. I think we have to be offensive to make people think. That's how I feel.
Yep.
That's not to say that we have to be nasty.
Agree.
Being offensive and being nasty are very different things. And if you don't know the difference, then that's your problem.
Mm.
As I said to you before, I was very political and very dirty when I first started off, and my comedy now is not so much. It's not that political now. There's a few little political things. Being a person of color, I have to bring that into the comedy show. Also because of this political climate, why not? Let's get people thinking about
Yeah.
what we're saying.
We want to
But
hear the perspective.
yeah, but you know. You can't be in control how someone's going to feel. So what that means is you just have to stick with what you believe is funny. And
Yeah.
as you say, if the crowd isn't into it, then find another crowd.
Yeah.
Find another group of people
And,
because it's
and
there is funny there. And if
and
you
you
keep
learn, quick. I mean,
yeah.
who said it? Oh, so I think it was Deepak again. Deepak Patel, fucking lad he was, told me this, and I've stuck with it, and now I'm sharing it as if it's my own wisdom, which I love. He'll hate me for this, but it was like, when was really like the first actual recorded official comedian?
I don't know.
It'd have been the court jester
Wow.
back
Okay.
back in medieval times, and he was the only person who was allowed to insult the king.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Because
I
and
read
to
that.
this day, he was the only person who was about to take a look at society, look at above, below, and mock with
Mm.
zero repercussions. that's how the comedian has sort of grown from. So to say to a comedian, a jester, in essence, what you can and can't do is criminal.
Yeah.
We should be able to say whatever we want on stage, whatever we want, and the audience are allowed to have whatever response they want.
Yeah, and also like we as human beings, we live in a society where the majority of us in the common era, and I'm sorry to get really scientific,
Oh, I love it.
don't don't understand or don't have any grit because we haven't really had that much um turmoil,
Mm,
in in the like 30s, 40s, all of us, if we were of age then, we would have lost like a brother or a sister from a disease or something like that.
yeah,
And so all of us now in our current era, within reason, there's obviously people that go through shit, and I'm not trying to devalue that at all, but we're all okay, and if
yeah.
if if I say something that offends you, you're not going to die. Do you
No,
know what I mean?
I've never ever been offended over a joke. I don't know anyone who go out their way to get offended. The funny thing, I was speaking to an African woman about 3 4 weeks ago about depression, and I don't know how it came up. We were just having a laugh, and she said depression is such a westernized thing. She's like, in Africa they haven't got time to get depressed
I
because they've
can
got
I
they're
can agree
fighting
with that.
so many other things in life, survival. They ain't got time to get depressed. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
oh, I don't
Exactly.
feel like going to get the water today. Well, you do. Like, tough shit. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and like you're totally right. Like there's there are other things to be upset about.
yeah,
Not a joke. If a joke's not for you, that's fine. That's so fine.
put your
You know,
hands up. You know what? Not for me.
yeah, because I actually find it offensive when someone comes up to me and says, "I didn't like that joke. You upset me." I find that offensive.
Yeah.
That would upset me.
Is that meme where it's like the three Spider-Men pointing at each other like that? It's a Mexican standoff, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
that's probably
yeah.
offensive to a Mexican saying that. Like, I was like, oh, Bill Burr's latest thing coming out. I think about being an old dad. It was like he said to his daughter, "Oh, did you enjoy the jungle gym at school?" And it was like, "Oh, you can't say jungle gym anymore. It's offensive because like they were saying it's racist." It's like who makes up these rules?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the era we're in at the moment, and this is one of the problems with social media as well. Is that I mean, we all deserve a voice, but sometimes the loudest person in a room um, can really affect how we evolve as human
Yeah,
beings. And that's the problem. It's like anyone can say anything now.
yeah.
Um, uh, whether
But
that
but
offends
that's
people
talking
or
about.
not.
Like, do we hope that people will realise no, they're an idiot? But then you're doing it from your own perspective. Where are the majority? Are they actually idiots? And then that's where you worry because you think, oh, everyone must agree with me on this because I'm doing this from a logical perspective. But then no, everyone else might not be.
Yeah, I mean, dude, we've hit the matrix, haven't we?
Well,
This is
yeah, yeah, we'll go in
it.
fucking limbo on that.
Who
So,
is who and what is what?
yeah, dude. So I'll switch you back then. Um, what's the worst thing you've ever seen someone do on stage? Now, we say you have the right to do anything. What's the thing where you've been like, yeah,
So
right,
I did a gong show at the Comedy Store,
can't.
and there was
The
this
hardest one out there.
is
I know Northerners, you might say beat the frog. People might say blackout, big no.
Comedy Gong.
Yeah,
King Gong, isn't it?
King
King
Kong.
Gong at the
That
Comedy
is.
Store. Yeah, it's tough because everyone in that audience wants blood.
Oh,
They
straight.
are
I said
thirsty.
my first ever gig. Guy after me was Australian. First, no, New Zealand. 7 seconds in. The second he spoke, they heard the accent. Off.
Yeah, and it's the worst. It's demoralizing. That guy's probably been waiting all like I don't know 3 or 4 hours before that
No, you
moment.
can only apply 6 months if you get gonged off.
Oh gosh. Oh
Every six
gosh.
months you can apply.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks. He
anyway,
was giving me advice.
and he fucked. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. The did that show, and the guy that won it. So I think I last time I did it. Yeah, it was the last time I did it. It was years ago. Um, the guy who won it. He won it because he got up on stage. Well, this is what happened. He got up on stage. He pulled his trousers down. He aimed his bum towards the audience. He squatted and he did a shit, and there was a standing ovation for like I think it was 3 minutes he had, yeah, or 2 minutes.
Well, 3 minutes worth of shit.
Well, he just did a shit and he just stood there and everyone was just like laughing, clapping, cheering. Like no one gonged. I think some people wanted to gong, but no one like they lift up that bit of paper or whatever it is.
Yeah.
No one did it, and it was like, okay, all right. That's the
Ah,
worst thing I've ever seen. Um, but it won him the trophy.
yeah. I mean, how'd you put that on your resume? Like, you might win it, but I don't know anyone. I don't know promoters be like, "Oh, can you do that Friday night for me in my place?" Like,
Well,
on the fiber only diet. Like,
well, there's money to be made in shit, there is
yeah.
money. So
Uh, I
that
mean,
lady was selling her farts. That was crazy.
oh yeah, no, we already. That's a cooked reality. We already go to that bit. Like, yeah. I mean, doing stuff like that. I was. How much of it is funny? How much of it is delusion? Like, is that the first time he's done that?
I
Was it a
just,
statement?
like honestly, this guy's eyes. He looked like he'd done it before. I don't know. I was
Did he
shocked.
look like a stage shitter?
He
I
looked
know it's a
odd.
weird demographic to be like, they look like a stage shitter, but now looking back,
Yeah, yeah. He looked like he kind of looked like a cross between an indie kid and a geography teacher. That's what he looked like.
I don't know why, but I can visualize that perfectly. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Yeah. That's and what's been the sort of like like your utopian highlight in comedy?
Oh man, there's been a few. I did a show in Orlando back in June, um, and when I say a show, I was like emceeing. It was like a sort of corporate event, and I was telling a few jokes. There's about 30,000 people there, and they were just like roaring. And I was like, "Wow, man! Like this is how like like the kind of apex
Yeah.
comedians live." And I was like, "I want this." It was just yeah, it's great. So anytime I connect with the audience is like dying of laughter. That's when I'm happy. But the thing I really miss, I don't really do the circuit as much as I used to. Sometimes it'd be a good night out, like you take your missus, usually it'd be in a pub. There's like a good meal. You watch 10 comics or sometimes 20 comics. There'll be some great ones, there'll be some shit ones, and there'll be some like amazing ones. And I love seeing that raw talent. And it's only luck that's going to get them to the next stage. And
Yeah.
a
That's
lot
like
of
how much of it is like skill. I mean, it's like saying, look, if you buy 10 lottery tickets instead of one, you got a higher chance of winning the lottery, but you've still got to win the lottery.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of luck into it. You need luck.
Yeah.
You can make your luck. Don't get me wrong. As you
Yeah.
say, buy 10 tickets instead of just the one. And you got to be on it.
Yeah.
And
Hard work. Oh, what's the trying to think what was the film? The Founder, McDonald's was like persistence is better than any intellect, anything like that. The actual persistence, the actual keep the grind going. Hard work
yeah,
is better than the smartest. It's better. Fuck's sake! It's better to be the hardest worker in the room than the smartest person in the room.
yeah. I think
But then also, there's
for
work hard, not I mean all that like work
I,
smart, not hard.
I think creativity. Um, you can be it's like anything. Like Steve Jobs, for example. In my eyes, he's the best salesperson ever. Yeah, the reason why is he knew how to communicate the value of the future. He's like, this is the future, buy it. And there's loads of people who had that idea before him, but he knew how to. He made his luck. And it's the same thing I think for comedies. You need to have conversations with the right people. You need to be prepared for those moments, like whether it's on stage or you're in, on television or whatever it is. You need to be in control. I think that's important. So just touching what I was saying before, what I really miss is going out on a night out and just knowing that this comedian you're seeing who's inspiring you is probably never going to make it, but they've made you laugh so much, and you'll never forget that moment.
Mm.
And there's lots of comedians like that all over the world, particularly in cities where there's a strong scene.
Yeah.
I miss that. I miss the circuit so much because you get to see some raw talent that no one gets to see, and it's way better than what you see on Live at the Apollo. Not to say Live at
Oh,
the
a
Apollo
million
is
percent.
bad.
A million percent. I mean, I was chatting with Alistair Barry over this. If you go see Michael McIntyre, John Bishop, all the names, you you know what to expect.
Yeah,
They're playing in front of their people. That's the fruit's lower. It's easier laughs. If you go to an open mic, circuit level, go to the store, anywhere, and you've never heard of a comedian and he makes you laugh, that is the skill.
yeah, yeah, and there's a joy in that. I think comedy as an art form is more to me is more beautiful than becoming a famous comic. You know,
Mm.
I just want to see good comedy or comedy that I think makes me laugh. You know, was right for
Yeah.
me, and everyone has their audience.
Although makes you laugh, makes you think, and just overall memorable.
Yeah,
So I said,
because
being on stage, how important is it to be the funniest or the most entertaining?
it's a good question. I think from a comedian perspective, you want to be the funniest, but from a kind of longevity perspective, you want to be the most entertaining.
Yeah. So
Um,
I always look at Dave Chappelle at the moment. Now look, no one can ever say Dave Chappelle's not funny. Like, and I'll fight you to the hill on that one. But if you look at his last 3, 4 years, he's just going up there and holding court. He's just talking to him now.
mm,
And for me, that's his most entertaining stuff he's ever done.
absolutely, he's got a gravitas about him, though, isn't he? Because
Love that word, gravitas.
he's so in tune with his art form that
Mm,
he's a master. You know, and that's what's so captivating. Not just if you would see him live, but also when you watch it on television or Netflix, whatever.
mm.
There's something about his charisma on camera, his timing, the way he paces himself. Um, he's just so good.
But does it eventually? Does that become muscle memory?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. You look at all the greats; they're like to me. I always compare them to boxers. They are like the masters of their art form. They get in the, they've trained so hard for that moment to get up onto that stage, to get
Yeah.
into that ring, for example. That they are the best they will ever be, and
Okay. Who would you say the all-time goat is then?
ooh. It's a couple. So modern day, fucking love Bill Burr. I think he's
Okay.
amazing.
Cool. Yeah. I
But,
say Bill Burr's the best black comedian.
I,
It's
yeah,
the Eminem equivalent, unfortunately. Like,
yeah, he's brilliant. Old school. I think Richard Pryor is
go,
just
well,
amazing.
no, no, my two as well.
Oh
Honestly,
wow,
no,
okay,
my two as well.
wow.
Yeah, I'd have said if Patrice O'Neill had a little bit more time in the game, he could have given Pryor a run. But Bill Burr, current all-time Pryor, like
Yeah, yeah,
standard.
yeah, yeah. And then there's loads of people in between, like love Rodney Dangerfield,
Yep.
like Steve Martin. I think Whitney Cummings is amazing
But
at the
yes,
moment. She's doing great stuff. Um, Anthony Jeselnik, I love him. I've seen him live. Like he's just incredible. He's a
it's it's
master.
it's weird 'cause I always think like I know I was in the UK, America, and I'm sorry Australia, but go fuck yourselves. I was in comparison with UK and America. I think circuit level UK's better.
Oh,
I think all
totally.
time level America's better.
Well, America, it's more of
Freedom
you're
of
literally doing
speech.
shows every night. Even if you're at a
Yeah.
small level, you're doing shows every night. So it's like Edinburgh, but like you'll do a 2 year tour,
Mm.
um, which
Yeah,
is
no, no. The issue I was because I've started to bring on some more international comedians as well. The next process of the pod,
amazing.
and I was looking right. Okay, like clubs in New York. I had a New York comedian on like episode 80 or something, and I looked at it. It was like 24 comedy clubs, all within like a 2 mile radius.
Yeah, yeah.
So they could just hop, bomb, 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 like which, yeah, is mad.
I love New York because you could do that. You could do like a 5 minute. You could do like 5 or 6 5 minutes in one night. You could find a party and do a stand up gig at a party. There'll be someone in the crowd. It's like, we're going to a party. Do you want to do some stand up? Yeah, brilliant. New York's good for that. New York's good for cutting your chops. It's just the talent is so good out there that it's like terrifying.
Yeah,
You need to be good.
yeah. Well, it's the dream almost, isn't it? To like being able to tour internationally one day. I
One
mean,
day, brother.
one day, fingers crossed. So, Sanj, I'll end it with this one, mate. The one I always ask at the end. Um, Someone comes up to you, they've never done comedy before. They like go, look, Sanj, I'm gonna do stand up. Can you give me some advice? And you can't say, just do it.
Good question. I think I always go with uh, for a 5 minute, write about 6 jokes down on a bit of paper.
Okay.
Don't worry about which one's your first one. Just write, find your 6 jokes that you're happy with, then start to work them on some friends, and then you'll find out which one's your opener. Once you've got that, that's your short little 30-second joke. Then start working on the other 5 and build them up, like flesh them out.
Hmm.
So you've got that 5 minutes, um, and then just do
And
it.
then just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another.
I think one thing I would say is that because there's lots of comedy courses out there, and comedy courses are good because they teach you about rhythm, they teach you about pace, how to find yourself, how to find your voice. But don't do that straight away. You want to
Okay.
try and you want to try. I believe you want to try and get some raw kind of talent going, so that you can figure out how you feel on stage and what's right for you, so that when you do the course and you start to refine your pace and
Okay.
timing, then
I
you,
mean, I see that from two angles. One, I see, yes, you've got a frame of reference. Like I've done a couple of open mics. Now if they say this, I can be like, okay, I can now put that to my own perspective. The other one, on the other hand, I always think, don't do a course. So you've got to pay for it. So you've instantly got skin in the game.
yeah,
This has now affected you financially. Go get your money's worth.
yeah, I agree with you, and
There's no
I'm not.
right or wrong answer.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I would say is the problem you'll have at that stage, in my eyes, and you don't have to agree, is that you're kind of defining your voice. You're letting someone else define your voice,
Yeah,
even if
okay.
they found it.
Yeah, someone's trying to find your voice for you.
Yeah,
Almost.
and there's nothing wrong with that. Like
Cool.
that can work as well. But I feel it's good. It's good to fail early and learn, land flat on your face and try and write something and be like, oh, actually, this didn't work. This isn't right. And then go to a course with something like remnants of an idea or a style,
Yeah.
and then that way you can kind of like sort of refocus it and drive it in the right direction. Otherwise, you're kind of defining a direction before you've even been funny, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You don't even know where you're going yet.
Yeah.
You know, metaphor about the car. Sanj, man, look, this has been brilliant, brother.
Brother, Daniel, can I just say what you're doing is a beautiful thing. It's a positive thing. There needs to be more of this kind of stuff. Um, I, you're such a beautiful energy. I feel so privileged
Oh,
to be
dude.
here. So thank you. I hope you and I can meet one day. I really do, because I think you're just a diamond, and I really appreciate this opportunity. So thank you so much.
Oh, mate, honestly, I appreciate it. I've had a lot of hate lately. So, dude,
If
yeah,
you
honestly.
if you
Uh,
ever get hate, just phone me up.
yeah.
I'll have a chat with you, because
Um,
you don't deserve any of that. No one deserves any of that.
no,
But
bro, I love
okay.
that, yeah. If there's any bit I'm going to clip from this, it's that bit, mate. That's going on the homepage, that is on loop. Love that. I mean, yeah, bro, I appreciate it, man. Like, yeah, there's so many comedians out there who need to have their voice heard. And you know what I mean? Like and one of the reasons I started this is because I was watching them, but I was watching the people who've already made it. Like, look, you can listen to all the people on the TV shows, everything like that.
Mm,
But if you want to learn, you need to learn from the people in the trenches who are going
absolutely,
through it right now. And
absolutely.
yeah, and I honestly, no, I tell you what, obviously the privilege, the honor is mine speaking to so many great comedians. Like, it is a joy to do this and meet so
Awesome,
many great people.
awesome. Well, look,
And
keep
one
me in the
prick.
loop. Keep me in the loop. keep me in the loop. I really, really, I think
I
what
will,
you do is
man.
great.
I appreciate it. Well,
And
yeah, well, yeah, find out when we're next both gigging in London and we'll, yeah, go get
definitely.
on it. But drink wise, people, nothing else. All right. Cheers,
All
guys.
right,
Thanks
guys.
all for watching.